neither here nor there, is in Salem, Oregon, the capital of Oregon. Look at it's the Phoenix RV Park. It's not in Phoenix, it's in Salem, Oregon. It's a very nice park. The people are a little intense, but it's a good park. Watch espresso, just big.
Stop it.
And now listen when he runs. Does he not sound like a galloping
Now I have to go
horse?
back. Well, okay, what?
This is not the first place I visited in Salem, but I put it the first of the video because I wanted to. This was the Gilgamesh Brewery. It was incredible, and it was one of my favorite places, and I visited twice. A woman in the gift shop at the state capitol suggested this place to me, so I went. They have a couple of locations, and she told me to go to this one, which really confused me because it did not say Gilgamesh anywhere on the signage, and I thought perhaps I'm in the wrong area. But they have 3 or 4 different breweries, and they're all named differently without Gilgamesh in the title. I don't like that. I think it's confusing. Anyway, I ordered a flight of like 8, and 6 of them were delicious. I also got fried garbanzo beans, and this is a funky Cuban sandwich, not a real Cuban sandwich, but still better than almost every Cuban sandwich I have ever had. The wood here, I was told, was harvested and was put up by the owner of the brewery. This is just kind of a shot of the ceiling. It was a big space, as most breweries are. Please forgive the angle of the camera, that I've got it up and down. I'm not sure what happened. Because I have such a big truck, I am taking 2 parking spaces to see the Capitol in Salem. So I am purchasing 2 parking sticker things, which I will place on my dashboard. Hopefully, they'll understand and I won't get a ticket. This is where we're starting. You can see the pay here to the left. And as I walk forward and the tree opens up, that is the Oregon State Capitol. I don't know who the gold guy is, but I'm sure I will find out inside. Okay, I didn't really find out from inside who the guy on the top was, but I looked it up. And this guy is nobody in particular. He's not a politician or a hipster. He's not marketing. He's not a timber guy. Nope. He is the Oregon pioneer, and he symbolizes the independent spirit of all Oregonians. From this angle, you can see the gold guy has an axe in his hand. You might have gathered by now, I like plants, nature, trees, whatever, flowers. And there's a lot of beautiful stuff in Oregon. And there were a lot of beautiful plants around the Capitol. And so here you go, some flowers. Not enough wind right now for the 2 flags. But it's POW and US. Each one of the posts is dedicated to a serviceman from American wars. Vietnam being the most recent. And while I'm not going to be political in this YouTube, I must at least point out that virtually every statue, every memorial, every remembrance was dedicated to men, not women, and dedicated to white men. There was a little bit about women, a little bit about Native Americans, but for the most part, again, it was just the men. And there were women and other people there too. Okay, well, this kind of explains stuff. Okay, I walked all the way around the Capitol building because it was under construction. They are doing all kinds of earthquake retrofitting. And it was a good thing because I saw stuff I wouldn't have seen because I would have just gone in the door, gone inside. I walked around this before I finally found out what it was, and it was, and who would have known that Willamette University was right there on, across the street from the Capitol. The university is a private university, and it was founded in 1842. It's the oldest university in the western United States. Originally, it was named Oregon Institute. It was unaffiliated, came out of some Methodist mission, and then the name was changed to Willamette University in 1852. And by 1870, they changed the spelling, which is irrelevant, to the spelling they have today, and founded the first medical school and law school in the Pacific Northwest. The original building was the 3-story frame structure, and it was burned down. It just burned up, and they built a stone structure in 1867. What is an interesting little piece, which has nothing to do with these trees. The trees are a memorial. They celebrate the history. But something I found out when I was researching was in December of 1941, the university's football team traveled to Hawaii to play the University of Hawaii. Did you hear the date? December 1941. The students who accompanied the team on a passenger ship to Oahu saw the game on December 6th, and the following day, a lot of the students witnessed, because they couldn't help it, the bombing of Pearl Harbor from their hotel room on Waikiki Beach. They didn't return right away. As a matter of fact, it was a couple of weeks before they got to go back to Oregon because they were helping with all the ships transporting the wounded back to the mainland. Today, Willamette is the Pacific Northwest's leading private university. And it is a liberal arts college. It has residential dorms for people. They have a lot of different programs. They also house the Pacific Northwest College of Art, which is a professional undergraduate program for art and design. Here is another little interesting thing that I found out that has nothing to do exactly with what I'm filming, but I thought it was interesting. Elizabeth Heaston, class of 1999, became the first female to play in a collegiate football game in 1997. I'm giving a woman a little bit of a kudo since there's so few kudos for women historically around the building and around most historic buildings. Kudos, Elizabeth! I thought this was a really cool tree because of how some of the branches were just coming out super low on the trunk, and it just didn't seem to fit the typical tree that I've seen before, and so I liked it. I was coming back around toward the front of the Capitol, but looking at all the stuff around the edges. And they had a memorial to World War II. It reminded me of pictures I've seen, because I've not really seen it in person, but it reminded me of the Vietnam Memorial. And at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a Vietnam memorial with the people's names, but it was a World War II memorial. And if you look at the ground, it's hard to see, and I never did capture it correctly, but the ground is a map of the world. And the darker sections are continents and countries. And at some of them, there are stars and there's some kind of lettering that annotates the fact that certain battles were fought there, and particularly certain Oregonians and groups of Oregonians died in the fighting. I have no real explanation for this other than Oregon is the beaver state. So, hey, let's have a beaver family. It's kind of a cute little beaver family. I'm thinking this, after walking all the way around the building, because I started out on this end, is the only entrance for the public. I'm hoping I'm right, because it is the only entrance available that is, not locked up with a key card. The door opened, but I wanted a picture, so I let it close. And now I'm gonna open it again. Yay, I get to go inside. It's quiet in here. That's why I'm whispering. Oh, and the walls are like marble, so I will echo if I don't whisper. And now I'm going to see what happens when I... Ooh, that's kind of cool, the front doors that you can't use. That is a state capitol building. It's part of what is so exciting when you see them. The rotunda and the incredibly tall roof. And there are murals all over. On the walls, and there's steps. When I got to the Capitol, a young woman who was womaning the desk at the kiosk area came out from her desk and gave me quite a wonderful explanation of the seal and all of the murals that were around. She did not feel comfortable being on camera, either with her voice or her face. So I tried to remember what she told me, but it was so much incredible information that I could not get it all in my head. So here is what I remember, and here's what I've researched to add to it. This particular capitol was built in the 30s because the first two state capitals burned down. So this capitol is not a typical state capitol. I've been to other capitals and they're all kind of old Greek, incredible buildings, and this was a bit more Art Deco, and it was because it was built in the 30s. I had no idea, but it made complete sense. On Valentine's Day in 1959, Oregon became the 33rd state. And there's a huge amount of symbolism in that beautiful, shiny gold symbol state seal on the floor. And it was a state seal that changed over time, but eventually a governor decided that it needed to be a symbol, a seal that the whole state would hold, rather than a bunch of symbols that everybody could get. So that particular state seal is the seal of Oregon. Oregon prides itself on being a state of individuals and on supporting the fact that a person, a citizen, can make changes in the whole government. And it was Oregon that started the refund for bottles throughout the whole country. One man, his idea, it's now what we all do. Because I was so impressed with the beer at Gilgamesh, the little place that I went, I decided I needed to go to their basically headquarters. They call it their campus. And it was really lovely. It's right kind of on a little, I don't know if it's not a river, maybe a creek or something. And I also then wanted to find out exactly who was Gilgamesh, because I'd heard the name before, but I didn't know anything about it. Well, the Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem from ancient Mesopotamia. It's one of the earliest surviving pieces of literature and the second oldest religious text in the world. The first half of the story discusses Gilgamesh, who is the king of Uruk, and the fight between another man who is against him because the other man is trying to make Gilgamesh be nice to his people. Well, eventually Gilgamesh and his name is Enkidu become friends. And then they go on together and have a bunch of adventures. You might remember that in 2019, there was a controversy with the store Hobby Lobby because they had purchased or acquired an old text from ancient times, but somehow it had been acquired illegally or not quite legally, and that was the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet, and it had to be returned. It was seized by authorities in 2019. So maybe that's where I learned about the name Gilgamesh. I don't remember. But the bottom line was they had good beer. And my favorite beer was the Mamba. I even bought 2 4-pack. I like this dog park because it has shade. There's a tree, there's a tree, there's a bench, there's a tree, there's a little tree, there's a big tree, there's a bunch of little trees. Next stop, the Portland area, to see my cousin Dawn, her daughter Kristen, Kristen's husband Dave, and their lovely son Ferris, and everybody's new puppies. Can't wait to see them all. Bye.